Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns or ladies, since this is not the Facebook group. Here, you guys have ladies, unicorns are in the group. Yana Kasperczak, your spiritual awakening core energy coach, and today's topic for story time with myself, with Yana, I want to talk to you about understanding anxiety, understanding and healing anxiety, and why it takes time for you to do that. And the stories I'll be using will be mine for today. And they are at the same time stories of many, many, many different human beings in general, not just women. So where do we start with anxiety? I guess I'll start with a question for you all. When did you recognize that you had anxiety? When did you become aware that what you've been living with inside of you, this jitterness, this fear of the future, because that's what anxiety is. So first let me know when you recognize that you have anxiety and how many years you've been living with it and what you've been doing with your anxiety up until this point. On top of, what do you know about anxiety? You don't have to necessarily answer all of these questions, but if you do, I'd appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure everyone else who's reading the responses and comments will appreciate it as well. So let's talk about how anxiety feels. Some of you are aware, some of you are not, and others might be struggling to help some people in your life to understand what you are going through, what anxiety feels like, because they have no idea what that feels like to them. They're not aware. So the best way to describe it is how I've heard Mel Robbins describe it, is imagine you're driving and there's a big truck that pulls right in front of you and you almost hit it. Your body goes into shock, into fight or flight, which is called anxiety, where you are just in panic mode. And what happens is, this is a difference with anxiety and when somebody keeps calling me, difference with anxiety and just this example, right? Where in real life you see what is triggering your anxiety. You see what is triggering this fight or flight state in your body. Because anxiety is fight or flight. This is what you're in. You are in stress mode. You're in fight or flight. You are in survival mode. That's what anxiety is. And then we'll get into what else it actually is and where it comes from and what to do with it. And you'll understand at this point, I feel like, that it does not take one day or a week to heal anxiety, to overcome anxiety. It takes longer than that. Everyone is a little different. It depends how much work you put in. The more work you put in, the more you get back. So in this example of you driving on the road, you see this truck, you almost hit the truck, and then you don't. What happens? You return to equilibrium. Your body returns to its natural state, its natural balance. And you're okay. You're like, whew, we survived that one. That was a close one. Now with anxiety, there is no truck. There is nothing that you can see that is causing you to feel that way. And you don't know what it is. Some of you know what's triggering your anxiety, but I will tell you, it's not exactly what you think is triggering your anxiety. It's much deeper than that. And the reason for that is because anxiety is actually unhealed grief. You've gone through your life dealing with a lot of losses. A lot of losses. Not just those that not just your family that might have someone might have passed away from your family, not just your pet that might have passed away. It was also losses of friendships. It is also losses of things that you've had. Little things add up to big things and to big events. My phone just won't stop ringing today. So little things add up to big things, big events. So your anxiety is a catastrophe. It feels like a bomb has gone off and it does not go away. It either stays with you all day or it stays with you for a little bit and then you're able to manage it and control it. But there are times where you might not be able to shake it off at all. And the reason for that is because it is so deeply ingrained into who you are at this point. And anxiety has become part of who you are. And that's why I wanted to ask, when did you become aware of your anxiety? Because it is not something just happens overnight. It is a process that brings you to you having anxiety and to you having panic attacks, because those two go hand in hand. They're like BFFs. I used to wake up with panic attacks. And I honestly, like, I asked you a question, when did you become aware of your anxiety? I became aware of my anxiety after it was a Halloween, the Halloween hunt at Wonderland trip. And the next day, that is when I was shook. The switch just flipped. And it was a long time coming for me, for all of us. We all get to a point where anxiety just becomes us and it feels unmanageable and uncontrollable. But it serves a very powerful purpose. And the purpose of anxiety is to help you uncover what is holding you back. It helps you to uncover who you are that you have been hiding and suppressing. It helps you to heal the things that you have locked away and put away. The grief is not just from loss. It's also, let's say your parents scolded you as a child, verbally scolded you, not with hot water, but scolded you verbally because you did something. You are such a gentle, soft little being and so open to everything. When you hear something, especially from those that you love, and if it's hurtful and you feel that pain, guess what happens? The same thing happens to you when you were a kid as it happens now. A part of you hides. A part of you wants to run away and hide, and a part of your soul in a way can hide. Now as an adult, maybe not so much so, because you've learned to speak up for yourself and you now have a mind that is rational and you're able to understand what you're going through. But at the same time, the program that you received by the age of 7, because you are in a dreamlike state, but for the first 7 years of your life, and that also means in utero as well, that afterwards, this is when you start to awaken and wake up, and you start to figure out who you are. And that's what you've been doing since you were 8 years old, 7 years old, 7-ish, 8-ish, because it's also a slow process for a child to wake up and start thinking differently based on what they have watched and listened and observed. So your anxiety is also from your childhood. It is also from everything that you went through in your life that you have not taken the time to heal. And now you are trying to look into the future, because anxiety is actually you looking into the future. It is in the present moment, but it's in the present moment because you are trying to see a future based on your past, because that's all you know. Yes, we can watch movies, we can look at all these different things, and it helps us to visualize what we want from our life. But the reality is that we're continuing to base our future reality, our future life, on how we have lived our life. We base it based on evidence, and the evidence thus far has been, I'm a shitty person, I never do enough, I'm never good enough, I am too sensitive, and all these different things that you can call yourself, right? Or I'm messed up, or something wrong with me, or what's wrong with me, all these questions that you were also asked as a child. What's wrong with you? Well, nothing is wrong with you. You are a new creature on this massive planet, excited to explore everything, and here you are as a parent trying to keep me safe in my little bubble where I don't want a bubble. I want to fly everywhere because I can fly, right? So when parents do their job to the best of their ability, every parent does the best they can. Every parent does the best they can in becoming a parent that they wish they had. So even those that are not present, even those that might be addicts as parents, believe it or not, they are doing the best that they can with what they have. It just means that they need more tools, more knowledge in their tool belt to help them do better than they're already doing. So there's a lot of powerful questions that our parents have asked that we ask our kids as well, but some of them can be triggering. And hi, Rebecca. Rebecca said, in college, I had to run out of my class for hyperventilation. It's been 20 years. Ooh. That must have been hard to go through, running out of your class. And that sounds more like a panic attack where you're hyperventilating. That's an attack, panic attack. I used to wake up with panic attacks, like I started saying earlier. And for me, my rational mind was making sense of where I was in my life. And where I was in my life was I had quit a job. So I quit a job, so I had no income. And it was just my husband and the kids, our husband, mine. I don't share. Just saying. Okay, so my husband was the only one with an income for quite a few years. And my anxiety, even though it started from that trigger, from that Halloween trip, and it didn't take very long for me to quit my job, because when I became anxiety, I can't call it any other way. When I became anxiety, when that was my state of being for what felt like eons, that was triggered by many events, but that cherry on top, where that switch just went off, you know, in our minds, we try to rationalize in a way of, what is the last thing that happened that caused me to have anxiety? And that must be it. So I need to focus on that. I need to heal that. I need to work on that. So for me, that was money story. That was the way I was looking at money and perceiving money and living money through my being, through that program that has conditioned me, like all of you guys, that money is the most important thing in the world, that your self-worth is based on how much money you earn. Is this not the teachings that you have received throughout your life in one way or another, and you know, one phrase or another that leads back to, without money you're nothing? Now, is that the truth? Without money, are you nothing? Who are you without money? I have learned that without money, I am still Yana, and I'm still happy, and I'm still joyful, and I still get to experience life, right? That money is not everything. Yes, money helps us to live our life, but money is not everything. Now, I've also recognized that that is part of the root of my anxiety, but it's not the whole entire root of what anxiety, or where the anxiety was coming from. Now, if we start going back through our life and we start seeing the big events and recognizing that the big events are not the only events that create this type of feeling and discomfort in our body, that it really is our life, our experiences, and most importantly, how we look at things. And on top of it is what we do when we are going through these experiences that are uneasy. Because most people, what they do is they get through it, put it aside, and that's it, forget and move on. And every time it comes up, nope, we ignore it. We'll drink, we'll smoke, we'll go distract ourselves with going out and partying it up. We'll go distract ourselves with things. And a lot of people are busying themselves with a lot of things that feel important, but they're not. It's procrastinating on your well-being. It's procrastinating on your health and wellness, which your body's telling you it is time to do the work. So if we go back 6 months from me having that panic attack is, which was my birthday, my 30th birthday, and my dog, who we got to help me get over the loss of the twins. I was 5 months pregnant, 22 weeks pregnant, 22 years old, 22 weeks pregnant, having 2 girls, lost them, had to go through the entire process of giving birth and holding them and not taking them home. You can imagine what that does to a woman. So I got a dog that then had a heart attack on my 30th birthday. And these are just the 2 big events. Another event before that, so when I was 7 months pregnant with my son, I got in a car accident. When 2 weeks before we bought our second house, I lost my job. We didn't have a mortgage in place, but it all worked out. And these seem like the events, oh, you got through that event and you survived and it was great. But when you're going through it, there is trauma that is being created in the moment when you're going through it. Imagine what a person goes through, woman, man, what it goes through when you have 2 weeks before you're closing on a house. Okay, you have 2 kids as well. Your house is already sold. You have 2 weeks before you got to get out and you have no mortgage yet. And you lose your job, or one person in the family loses their job. What does that do to a person who has lost a job and the other person who still was now responsible for everything? Right? It's not just me who's in this story. There's others in there as well. Now imagine what trauma gets created and stays in the body. You know, just because you got through something and you, in a way, worked through, but never actually went deep in healing it and taking the time to heal, does not take a day or 2 or 3. Some things can take years to heal. What trauma do you think or feel gets left behind when a woman loses a child, one child? What about 2 at once? And that's the first pregnancy. Then what, right? What happens, right? And then Tanya says, no, her dog. Did you say you had a heart attack at 30? No. My dog had a heart attack. Yeah. So my dog had a heart attack on my 30th birthday, and he didn't survive the heart attack. And then now let's attach another trauma of my parents. When I called my parents, or they called me, I don't know who called who. I remember answering the phone or going on the phone and saying, the first thing they hear out of my mouth, he died. He died. So as a parent, you start going, oh my God, who died? Your son or your husband? Nobody's thinking about a dog. But to me, it was my dog. It was my twin girls that I did not take the time to heal. I wasn't even given time to grieve. I had to go back to work. We lost them on Sunday, had the funeral on Tuesday, got Zeus on Wednesday. On Thursday, I had to go back to work because they had a business to run. And those were the words that were passed down to me. So imagine that experience, what trauma that creates. Now, what grief that creates. What did I lose that I didn't get to experience through that? Of course, it was inevitable for me to end up depressed. I'll have another entire different video to help you understand the difference between unhappiness and depression. There is a difference. Many of us feel unhappy, and many of us, if we don't heal the unhappiness, we don't deal with the unhappiness, we'll get depressed. Same thing with grief. Grief turns into anxiety, because anxiety is you trying to look into the future, trying to create a future and see a future and feel a future, which is entirely based on your past. And this is where the pain comes from. This is why most of you hide from your future, because you're terrified of it. Some of you don't even want to wake up in the morning. I went through the time when I just could not wake up in the morning, and I kept snoozing and snoozing and snoozing. So every time I've had these really, really dark moments and times in my life, I did the only thing I knew to do, which was to learn how to get through it, how to get over it, to understand what the hell am I going through. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I have this conversation with you guys and sharing, is because I have taken the time to understand myself. And in understanding myself, I get to understand the human body. And your body is talking to you every single day. It is communicating with you every single moment of the day, every second. How connected are you with your body? How well do you interpret what your body is saying to you? Most people are completely out of touch with their body, and they are not aware even what anxiety might even feel like, that they might have been living with it, and they're just another there's workaholic is a great phrase. Those that are workaholics often you're just avoiding something. You're not dealing with things. You just keep going forward, which is great. But if you don't pause and stop, life will do that for you. It will force you to halt where you are. It will force you to look within yourself. It will force you to face all the shit that you have locked up and put away into your Pandora's box, because one day it will crack open and there is no closing it back. Once it's open, it's open. It will start coming out little by little. At first, it'll be a lot at once. It's like a fire hose comes at you when you start your spiritual awakening, when you awaken. And anxiety was that gift for me that continues to remind me once in a while that there is more work to do for me. And how long does it take? I don't know. I don't have that answer for you. It has been 37 years for me since the day I was born. But all in all, when I started doing the actual work, 7 years. Yeah, about 7 years at this point, because I really started doing the work after I quit that job. I went doing the work might not look like you're actually doing the work. Doing the work, what that looked like to me in that time when I quit my job, was me sleeping most of the day, night, day, napping throughout, waking up, crying constantly, being in the misery bubble, barely making it to the bus with my kids. They were always late to the bus, which was, I kid you not, I don't know, 20 steps from our house, and they were late every single day. Struggling, late for everything, not just kids' buses, late for everything. I couldn't see clearly, I couldn't think clearly, because I just in a dark place doing the work, like I said, might not look like I'm doing the work, but it is doing the work. I was still showing up for my family, granted, not my full self, because I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. How would I know who I was and where I was when I was literally all over the place? And what I mean by all over the place is every time your trauma, or every time you experience trauma, part of your soul is going to go and hide and keep itself safe, protect itself. That's what it does. And it's been doing that since the day that you were born. So there's a lot of parts, that's why you don't feel whole. That's why you don't feel complete. That's why you feel like there's something missing, because there's parts of you that are missing. And there are also meditations. So meditation is a great way that can help you. That's one of the ways that I connected with something that I didn't understand, but now understand it is the universal knowledge. It is the universal intelligence. It is, just think about everything that has ever existed and everything that has been experienced in human existence exists out there, and you can tap into it and you can get information, and you need to get information. So that's one way that I've been able to heal. I'm noticing that there's comments. Let me see. So Rebecca says, I'm the past. In the past, I had periods of depression when my present life is fine and dandy. Oh, where did it go? And dandy, and I didn't know I was depressed. I was told it's an imbalance and I needed meds to cure it. And meds were always only a temporary fix. So I would actually love to have a conversation with you about this, Rebecca, because the world we're living in, talking about scams in the world, a lot of the things that we're being told to, that you need this pill or you need that pill, that it's unfixable, you can't fix it, that's the scam in itself. Is that, and this is when you start doing the learning and the work and start understanding, if that is for you, that our brain is able to create, it's a pharmacy, it's able to create whatever your body needs. And because most of us are so disconnected with our body, that's where the struggle comes in, and that is where the doctor comes in that tells you this is the magic pill that's going to fix it, but it never does. I've been on antidepressants for after my son was born. I actually was diagnosed with postpartum, and knowing what I know now, that was not postpartum. It's considered to be postpartum because here's where I'll explain. Your body is out of whack when you are pregnant and when you give birth. Your hormones need time to balance themselves. It is completely normal to feel like an alien after you have given birth for quite a few months, because it takes quite a few months for your body to get back to the normal, which it hasn't been normal in how many months. So it's going to happen. And the more kids you have, the more likely you're going to be going into this rut, because you have a lot of responsibilities. You got a lot of things you got to do. You are now a clown that has to juggle a lot of balls, and on top of it, take care of yourself. So there's a lot on your plate. You have now been given a business. So I refer to family unit as a business. And a lot of problems that can be solved in the family if we approach it in that way, in a very strategic way, where as a business partner, you come and you have conversations, you talk openly, and you communicate with one another. So that's just one little part. And then juggling everything else, making sure that, how do I put it? Without mentioning any names, and I know the person won't mind, but if she wants to, it'll be completely up to her to share this part. But when it comes to family, the more kids we have, the less time we'll have for ourselves. Because what we gotta do now is make sure that everyone has fair time with the parent. And what I mean by that is everybody needs quality time. Every child needs quality time with their parent. And what quality means is something that you gotta define, but at the same time, if you want, I can help you in defining that. So quality time is the time that you are basically going to be connecting. And how do you connect with another human being? You connect with another human being through the art of conversation, through the art of communication, through verbal and non-verbal communication. So that is where I refer to quality time. Now, you can't, watching movies, as great as it is, that is quantity time. That is not quality. Playing games is quality time. Now, it also depends what kind of games that you're playing and how you're playing the games, what communication happens. Now, I might actually put that under quantity time and not quality time with the family. The quality would be, let's go for a walk and have conversation. Let's sit down and have dinner and have conversation. Let's just have conversation. It's you continuing to foster and grow that bond and a connection that you have with every member of the family. and that means yourself as well. So, and Tanya said, I just quit my job after 5 years due to my mental health, and I'm struggling. That is challenging because mental health is something that everybody's struggling at this point with, one way or another. Some are maybe not necessarily struggling with it yet, but they will get to that point. I feel like life is such a powerful teacher that it causes everyone to go to a really hard place, go through a really hard time in life. And one thing I love to remind everyone is that the reason why is because that is your opportunity, that is your time, this is your chance to get stronger in the broken places. It is your time to heal, to heal and uncover the grief that you have been suppressing for years, where you have been just normalizing it for yourself, rationalizing it for yourself. It's actually, so those of you who are not in our Facebook group, highly recommend to go into our Facebook group called Heal the Unicorn, a spiritual awakening for women. This is where there's so much information on there. And I would recommend to, I'm not going to go too much into details and talking about the energy level, but I've done many videos on the energy levels. We've done podcasts on the energy levels to help you understand the 7 levels and where you are on this, basically what level of energy you are at right now, and then understanding what are your other options, what can you do with it. And if you want to go even deeper and know exactly where you are by taking a quiz, reach out to me and I can help you out if you're ready for that stage of your life to do the work. So what I was talking about is when we are going through life and we're putting the things in the Pandora's box because we don't have the time to deal with it now, or I'm not ready, or not yet. Really, it comes down to not right now. But my question to you is, if not now, then when? Because the only time that is promised and guaranteed is the present. Tomorrow literally does not exist, because tomorrow becomes today. Tomorrow, we will never get to tomorrow. We will never see tomorrow. Just like yesterday, because it's in the past. You can't go back in the past and you can't go into the future. The only time that we have is right now. So right now, when it comes to your mental health, when it comes to your anxiety, what is it that you're doing that has been helping, that has been working? And how has it been helping and working for you? Understanding the things that you already have at your disposal, and the reason why I like to understand why has it been working for you, or how has it been working for you, because in you thinking about it, or even better, in you talking about it, you're actually learning so much more by talking out loud or by thinking quietly in your mind. You're learning so much more about yourself in that moment. And what you're going to learn as one of the things is that, pardon my language, but you're an asshole to yourself. And this is the very reason why the mental health struggle. Because you continue to punch yourself and beat yourself and talk smack about yourself every single day, every moment that you get, or most of the moments that you get, to yourself, to think that you might be going into the wrong rabbit hole, into the dark one, where it is just filled with darkness, all the things that you don't want to be dealing with. But it's important to go into there as well. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's important for you to go into that dark rabbit hole that is holding what you've gone through, holding all your experiences and interpretations? Interpretations is interpretation is basically you are, let's say you and your husband are having an argument and he's saying something to you and you are interpreting it in your own way to help you make sense of what he's trying to communicate with you or to you. Now, your interpretation, 90%, 90 times out of 100 will be the wrong one. Because what a person is saying is, in order for you to understand what a person is saying, you got to have a conversation with them so they can explain to you what is it that they're saying or what they mean by what they say. Otherwise, your interpretation is, what do they mean by what they say? And your mind is designed to keep you safe, which means that it's going to look for dangers. It's going to look for negativity. It's going to look for, what does he really mean? What is he trying to say? When that is not it at all. So that's why communication is so important for all of us. And it is a form of art. It is. Too many of us have become very artistic in expressing our anger and frustration, which is level 2 energy. And level 3 is when you are normalizing things. When you go through an experience and you're just normalizing it for yourself, for you to survive. It's a survival level, as I like to refer to it, where you're just surviving through things. You're making sense of what happened and you're normalizing it in yourself, but you're not actually going deep and uncovering why, what, and then going forward, what do you take from this, right? It's not just, the experience is meant to be for you to learn something for the future, for the present moment, but more so for the future. We have conversations right now. You're listening to this video, and some of you might go and take action on certain things, and some of you might not. And I know that all of you are going to walk away with something that's going to stay within you. I don't know what it's going to be. You actually don't know what it's going to be either. But one day, maybe soon, connections will be made and things will start making sense for what you're going through and why. And when that does, this is where you're like, you feel alive and you feel great. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, finally we got out of there. But then what happens is you go back into the rut. And it is literally a roller coaster where you're going. There's highs and there's lows. There's highs and lows, highs and lows. That's enough for everyone. No one gets to stay at one energy, at one type of feeling or emotion. We go through them all. And that is the gift of human existence in itself. Your ability to feel so deeply is a gift. It truly is. Think about any other species who have this ability. No one else does. No one else. Humans. And actually, not even every human being. Some humans are not able to feel nowhere near as deeply as you do. They're not as emotionally intelligent as you are. They have their own things that they're working through, but they're not as connected to the source as you are. And the reason why you're going through the turmoil is because you are connected to the source. And the source, right, the existence itself is what is telling you it is time. It is time for you to do the work that you know you gotta do. Peggy says, my body remembers everything that's happened to me. It does. I have CPTSD. Listening to my body is crucial. So is my orctis. I'm not sure what that word is, orctis. I'm not able to show up well without my practice and grounding techniques. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that with me. And that is actually a great reminder that your body remembers everything. It really does. Your body, where is your memory stored? Some people say, oh, in your brain. But no, your memories are not just stored in your brain. Your memories are stored in your body. There were things that you went through when you were a child that you have no conscious memory of, but for some reason, you're scared of heights. Why? It's because you have fallen enough time as a child, whether walking or from things, that now you have this fear, this experience that your body remembers, but your mind might not. And there's a lot of things that people go through. There's even women who have gone through unspeakable things and they forget it. They don't remember what happened to them because the brain is that miraculous. It blocks it out for you so you can continue to live your life, but your body will always remember. Always remember. And that is where it sounds like Peggy's doing the work, where the body is there, it's communicating, and you're listening to your body and you know what you need to do, and it has been working for you. So continue to do those things. And also a reminder that there's going to be times where those things that you're doing or you keep doing over and over again, they stop working. They lose their magic, they lose their power. That means try something different. Do it in a different way. Do it in a different place. Do it with other people, depending on what you're doing, right? With the practices that helps you to feel grounded and connected. It helps you to feel whole and fulfilled, hopefully. So just changing it up. We all get bored with the same thing over and over again. So changing it up, just like anything that we do, right? If you're exercising in the same way every single day, there's going to come time where your body will no longer feel that or take that as exercise. Then you'll have to up it up a little bit more, change it up. It's like your body's like a child. It loves to be entertained. It likes to experience different things as well. So keeping it curious and keeping it excited and giving into those curiosities that you feel called to is the way to live the life that you want to live, because you're following your guidance and you're following your intuition by saying yes to those things you're being called on. And Rebecca said, I was diagnosed with postpartum 3 times, and with what I know now, I realize it was trigger trauma and the result of the trauma of being mistreated by my partner and lack of self-care. Right there. You said it all. And this is one of the things that does trigger me about the world that we're living in, how greedy it is and how it will manipulate a weakened mind to steal from it, to use it, and to test their things on us as well, to see, let us know how it works for you. Meanwhile, shouldn't you know? Oh, no, it hasn't been around for that long. Let me know how it works. It's just a new drug that we're trying out. Yeah, go ahead, try it. It's good. It's like candy at Halloween. No, it's not. And Halloween candies. Another story I can share with you guys about sugar and how it has huge effect on our bodies and minds and mental health. If you're struggling with that, eliminate sugar as much as you possibly can out of your diet for as long as you possibly can, and see what happens. Tanya Mayer says, thank you. I needed to hear your words today. I too watched you a few years ago, and now that I am not working, I was on and you were on, so I started watching, and I really needed to have a good cry. And now I'm feeling different than I did in a long time. I am so glad that you allowed this earth element that you have in your body, that you have access to at any given point in time, to help you heal. Tears are extremely healing. But at the same time, if we spend too much time in that state of emotional healing, when we are just, because I often cry when I experience joy or bliss, because it's just such a it's such a black and white feeling, to feeling sorrow and grief and hopelessness to total and pure connection with oneself, with myself. Because we are not living for anyone. We are living for ourselves. Yes, we have kids. Yes, we have partners, but we are living for ourselves. And if we are not happy, then only we have the power to do something about it. No one else does. Your partner, if he loves you, the chances are, he or she, if they love you, they will do everything they possibly can to help you. But in order for them to help you, they need to understand how can they possibly help you. And that's why communication is at the root of healing as well. Many of you, the reason why you're struggling with your mental health is because you have kept your mouth quiet probably for way too long. And you are out of practice when it comes to speaking your truth and helping people to understand what you're going through or even who you are. So that is where the suffering happens, because we have been conditioned from day one to hide who we are, to not be authentic, to not be ourselves, to be who you were. One person for your grandma, you were another person for your grandpa, you were another person for your mom, for your dad, for one friend, for another friend, and you have learned how to be the masquerade comes to mind, where you are dancing at this masquerade party and you're changing masks for everyone because you are a good girl, and a good girl wants to make sure that everyone is happy because she is happy when everybody else is happy. But when everybody else is not happy, she's not happy. And sometimes when everybody else is happy, she's not happy because she thinks, what about me? Do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you understand me? Why can't you see that I'm in pain? Why can't you see that I need a little bit of help as well? Why can't you see that I would love for you to take care of me as well? But the reason for that is because you have never given them a reason to. You have always been a superhuman, so you can do it all. And if you don't say anything, they're not gonna know. The best. I'm gonna leave you with this quote. The loudest mouths get fed, or those who scream the loudest, they are the ones that get fed. Look in nature. Look, birds are a perfect example. We see them like with the bird with the mouth open and screaming. The ones that are screaming the loudest are the ones that get fed. The ones that will push their siblings out of the nest, if you will, they're the ones that get fed. I'm not telling you to push your siblings out of the nest, obviously, because I'm all about love, and pushing them out, that's not love either. But you got to open your mouth if you want to get fed. You want to experience more love, uncover what areas of your life you want to experience more love and what that means to you, what that looks like to you. And if it means part of that is your partner, you gotta have a conversation. But only you can figure out how you can have the conversation. Yes, you can have guidance from other people, but no one is gonna take your place and speak for you. That's something that you gotta do over and over and over and over and over again until you are so confident in who you are that you can express who you are to anyone like this. And anyone that questions who you are, at that point, I'm telling you, you're not even gonna give a fuck. You will say, you know what? I don't like that tea. I'm gonna go and drink that tea instead. I'm not gonna waste my time and energy with this human being because my time is valuable. That's one thing that everybody's trying to take from all of us. That's what social media is there. how you live your life is your choice and nobody else's. If somebody has something to say about it, you don't have to listen. You don't. You don't have to be part of that conversation. If you're not enjoying something, if it's not bringing you joy, then why continue? Then why continue to do that? Do something different. But I'll tell you why. The reason why is because you don't believe you're worthy of those things. You don't believe you're worthy of happiness and joy. And that's why you will continue to find yourself back in the rut until your belief system is changed to a point where you know you are worthy. Because right now you don't believe. And there's a big difference between believing and knowing. When you believe something, anyone can change your beliefs. But when you know something, nothing anyone says will ever change that for you. There's many things that I know, and there's many things that people don't understand yet. Just like the fact that I said that you have a pharmacy right here in your brain. Most people will not believe that. But to me, that's something that I know because I've got to experience it myself. And I got to witness it, granted, not in front of me, like not in real life, but you get to see it through online, through screens, right? Joe Dispenza is an incredible teacher. He's one of the people that I listen to and follow, and he is highly recommend to listen to him. And that's one guy who will tell you about the pharmacy in your brain and how you don't need anything outside of your body. In some cases, yes, but in most cases, you don't. Okay, so hi, Lisa. Oh, everybody else, I know I was just reading comments, but I didn't say hi. So hi, ladies. And those of you who weren't here, I know there's a lot of people who just like to watch, observers, and not so much the participators. I'm one of those people. I'm an introvert, actually, massive introvert. And when it comes to watching content, I am more of a silent watcher than interacting below. I feel like I've always been more of an observer my entire life. And this is where many of you might actually have been observers, where you just watch everything that happens around you and you're learning and learning and learning. And then one day you get to apply all those things and you get to learn how to communicate everything you have learned in your life and connect the dots for everybody else to get value from the connected dots and then connect their own dots to that connected dot, if it makes sense. Lisa said, I so needed to hear this. I'm getting more and more depressed because of four walls. Getting out, we're supposed to live outside, not behind four walls. That is total isolation. And yes, I know you missed the sacred circle today as well. That might have added to it. But if you can get out today or just get on a call with someone and have that connection, because that's another reason why we can get into the rut and feel depressed is we're missing interaction. We're missing genuine connection with those who we connect with through our heart. Not where we're just rationalizing, making sense of, yeah, I'll stay friends with that person because of this, because of that, because of that. Meanwhile, your heart is like, oh my God, we're going to die, right? That's a clear sign. Move on. Go somewhere else. Time for a change up. Keep it exciting for your body. Find new friends. Make new connections. Deep connections, not just surface level. And then once I have the day off, I realize how unsatisfied I am. See, because keeping yourself busy and distracted is one way where when the busy is gone and it's just us, then what happens? Most people struggle severely being by themselves. This this feeling of boredom and unease. It comes from boredom, not knowing what to do with themselves, can be a big contributor to the heaviness and the darkness that one can be going through. And then, oh my God, as I've said, closed mouth don't get fed. Craig's favorite. Yeah, there you go. They don't get fed. Thanks for being live today. Oh, you're welcome, Tanya. I go live every Tuesday. I go live in the group twice a week by myself. Once on Wednesday, Bethany and I would do a podcast, and then I started going live on this page just on Tuesdays, on my personal page, just to really help bring people to the group, because this is where I am always at. This is where I'm sharing all these wisdoms, and not so much on my personal page. I've had some perverted experiences, and I don't need those kind of people lurking around. It's okay. Block parties are fun. Block parties are not just for your neighborhood. Block parties are also for those who are trolls and they have no purpose in your life. So going to a block party is okay. And then Rebecca says, true. Thank you for putting that to words. Believe versus no. Yeah. Understanding the difference. It's like another way to look at it is, do you believe that Jesus existed, or do you know that he existed? Do you believe in God, or do you know that God is there? Now, do you believe that your mother is your mother, or do you know that your mother is your mother? 2 out of those you believe, and 1 you know, and anyone can say anything they want, and you just can't argue with them. No one can argue with the fact that you know that your mother is your mother, because your mother is your mother. There's no arguing. There's no believing that, you know. But when it comes to a lot of other things, we believe them to be true, and then we wait for validation. We wait for proof, and even then, we don't always believe. We've seen proof that Jesus existed, but do you actually believe that that proof is true? Do you know that that's how it was? That's what happened? No, we don't. We weren't there. We were told stories, and we continue to be told stories. Now, I also know stories can be changed to benefit those that want to be benefited. You yourself have changed many stories throughout your life when you were trying to get something for your parents, or to, save your butt from your parents, in a way. You change stories. And then when you change stories, this is where now the mind is so miraculous, is that, or your memory, which is part of your mind, so miraculous that now you have also rewritten your memory. And if you do that enough times, your memory will be changed as well. And your experience of your past would no longer have such hold on you. So one thing I want to give you a little something to do for healing your heart. If you meditate, great, and if you don't, even better. And that's even better, because those who don't meditate and go and start meditating, they have the most profound experiences, and then they want to go back to having those experiences, and it doesn't happen as much when you are more of like a seasoned meditator, because you're used to it. That's why I say you gotta change it up and do it a little bit differently. So with meditating, whether you meditate or not, go to YouTube, type in guided meditation, and you can put it in your own words, but the main thing I want you to look for is a meditation, a guided meditation that will help you to rewrite one of your past stories. I haven't created any meditations like that myself. One day I might, but for now, it's just YouTube is there, and trust your intuition, trust the words that are coming to your mind of what kind of meditation you want to find, but something that is going to help you to rewrite a story in your past, and it will guide you through it. But one thing I will mention, just in case that meditator does not mention it, is I do not recommend going and doing this work with something that was traumatic. Doing this work with something that you feel like will be easy to do. And the reason for that is because you want to build your confidence. You want to start healing your internal self, and jumping into the deep end when you don't know how to swim might not be the best idea. So starting small, starting where you feel comfortable, and doing that. So that's it. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you for being on here, and thank you for participating with this video, with all your comments and your energy as well. I am glad to hear that this video has helped quite a few of you as well. And if it has helped you, I would love it if you could share it with others who you maybe know or sense that they might be going through something and could use a little bit of maybe a cry session. Because those are so profound. You feel a release when you cry, because that's what happens. You're carrying grief, and grief for most of us, especially for us women, expresses itself through tears, through water. So we can heal on the outside as well. And don't wipe them off. Let them stay there. Let those tears stay there and remind you of the work that you have just done. It is not easy to cry. Most people will hold their tears and they will swallow them. Guess what happens when you swallow and hold your tears? You're clogging your throat chakra. And then you'll struggle to express yourself. Your self-expression. It's right here. Your self-love is in your root chakra, where you're rooted, where you're sitting down, your sit bones. So just a little bit of chakras and meditations. And actually, the 7 energy levels align perfectly well with the chakras. The first one being the root, level 1, where you're the victim, and then the 7th being the crown chakra, where you are one with the universe. And that is exactly how level 7 is. So imagine living your life through level 7, where you are in charge and in control of all the other levels. And you use the levels instead of you being used by them. And you'll know the difference when you're using them and when you're being used by them. One feels good, the other one doesn't. So even you being the victim, you can use that level and not become a victim. It's a little bit of how do I put it? Some of you might not understand what I'm talking about, or most of you might understand because you haven't listened to the energy levels. But if you're not in the group, you can join it, listen to it, and you get to understand much more about the energy levels and how they actually show up through you every single day. And then Peggy said, I own 10 acres, and a couple of weeks and weekends ago, I felt like I could scream. So I listened to my body, walked out in the woods, and cried. You gotta do what you gotta do. If you feel like screaming and then you end up in the woods and you're not screaming but you're crying, then that's what you needed. It almost sounds like you just followed your intuition. There was a call, and you followed that call into the forest, into the woods, where you could scream, but needed to have that cry just with yourself, with those who are the most supportive around you, and that is nature. Those trees, those plants, they are the most supporting beings we can have around us. And that's why we all feel good when we go and hug a tree. I'm sure you've heard that phrase. When someone is annoyed or irritated or pissed off, they're being told, oh, go hug a tree, right? Or they're crying or whining, oh, go hug a tree. Why? Why do you think that is? It's for that very reason, because their consciousness is different than ours, plants, and they are there to take what we don't want. So you can go give your worries, your fears to the trees, to the river, to earth, so you don't have to have them. And actually, having your feet on the ground, bare feet on the ground, for 10 or 15 minutes a day has a profound grounding effect on you. It does not take very long. But with your feet, we wear shoes and rubber soles too much, that we become way too disconnected with the source, with the life itself, with existence itself. And Peggy said, it felt good to be able to cry and not worry if I was making a sound. It was healing. Why are you worried about making a sound? Because I ask it in that way because I hear that there's still a part of you that you're not comfortable with. And I ask it knowing the answer as well, but I ask it for your benefit. That what other parts might you also be hiding from yourself? And I get you as well. Like I haven't gone on the street and screamed, even though I want to, but there's a part of me that is holding it back, that I am not ready to be that person that wants to go on the street and just scream to release, or in a backyard. Now, whereas with kids, they have no problem. They have an idea, they want to scream. What do? They scream. They don't care about anyone else. But we teach them, no, that's not okay. So it comes from a deeper place, and understanding where that's coming from, and possibly how it might also be affecting other areas of your life or other parts of yourself. Yeah, that's why that question came. So as a coach, I can't help it. My favorite thing to do is ask deep and uncomfortable questions, because most people in my client's life will not do that. And they themselves have asked themselves those questions and never answered. So that's why I can't help, but at the same time, I don't want to stop. I like asking those deep questions that feel uncomfortable, that feel, in a way, the reason why they feel uncomfortable is like, in a way, how dare you question me and who I am and how I do things, because it works for me, but there's more that we can do with where we are, and understanding why we might continue to hide helps us. Because for one, we might decide, oh, we don't want to hide that part anymore. Or for another, we might say, yeah, I think I'm okay keeping this to myself. So really, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just, this is you, this is your life, this is how things are right now. And then later on, things might change or might not. That's it. And then Peggy says, I never felt alone with when I am with nature. Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. We don't feel alone when we're in nature, but we feel alone and lonely and isolated when we're inside the house with the four walls. So it's really interesting. And then it says, my house is full. My husband, my children, they've seen me cry. I don't hide my humanness from them, but I didn't want them to see me cry that day or hear me. I think I feel guilty. Yeah. So it makes sense that day you might have felt some guilt and not wanting to share who you were being in that moment, because you know that's not who you are. So that's where the guilt might come from as well. As where it's like, right now I'm being this person, but that's not who I am. There's moments when we get angry. This morning, I got angry at my kids, and I kind of lost it. But this is not who I am. And I felt bad, and I feel guilty. And this is where then the conversation takes place. So that way we're all understanding where we're at, and that who I'm being right now is not who I am. It is not meant to bring you down or hurt you. But at the same time, I know that now that, in a way, creates trauma in my kids. We can't escape creating traumas in other people. We can't. And we gotta stop trying to walk on those eggshells, because it is exhausting tiptoeing through life. It really is. But at the same time, taking the time to get our shit together, get our energy together so we can be a better parent. And I did not do that today. I did not give that to myself today, because it was from morning, go, 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 doing everything for everyone else. I didn't even get to have my breakfast until I came back home after dropping off my kids, and then going back to school and dropping off a couple of things that one of my kids forgot. So I understand life is full of challenges, and most importantly, understand that we need to carve that time out for ourselves. And sometimes we need to defend that time that we have carved out for ourselves, because other people want our time for them. Boundaries are not just for our houses. Boundaries are also not just for our work and friends. It is for ourselves as well, and with our devices, just to name a few. So anyways, okay. I think I already tried to say bye a couple of times. I'm going to say bye this time officially. So thank you everybody for listening, for watching. Once again, if you found this beneficial and helpful, share with somebody else who you know can benefit from this information in this video as well. And other than that, I will see you guys all tomorrow. Ooh, this is actually an interesting topic for tomorrow. I'm going to bring it up. So tomorrow we are doing Heal the Unicorn podcast every Wednesday at 1:30 Eastern time. We go live in our Facebook group. And tomorrow's topic that we have for you guys is going to be the 18th of October, how to make friends and socialize. So that's it. That's going to be for tomorrow. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow on our live or on the next event that we'll be hosting, either in the group or maybe on this page. Other than that, until then, bye everybody. Thanks.